Twin Cities on the move. I'm Paul St. Andrew with Remax Results.
I'm Justin Sheeler with Remax Results.
I'm Joel Benson with Cardinal Financial, NMLS ID 1064642.
So, and if you're seeing this live, congratulations. I'm glad you found it. I can't believe we're doing this live again. And
It's good to be back.
It's
after
great.
The holiday hiatus.
It's fun to be back. We're parts
sure.
unknown here in Roseville, Minnesota. So happy to be able to sit down with you guys. And hey, before we get started, we got a lot to talk about today. But before we get started, we should mention My Insurance Warehouse.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, they've been
Our
kind
sponsor.
enough to be along for the ride for quite a while now. Any kind of insurance that you need, don't hesitate to get a hold of them. It's pretty simple, myinsurancwarehouse.com. They'll handle auto, home, life, probably mountain bike insurance. I don't,
there
you
go.
know,
Yeah, nice segue.
anything,
Dog pet insurance.
pet insurance. Who knows? But myinsurancwarehouse.com. Please, to look into them for anything you need as far as insurance goes. So,
And they're really competitive too.
Yeah, I always think I should mention this, but every one of my clients gets a quote from Insurance Warehouse, and I'd say probably 80% of the time they're the best rate.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. So, well, there you go. They're just, trusted insurance advisors, myinsurancwarehouse.com. So, good to see you guys.
Yeah, you too.
So we had a bit of a hiatus over the
Yeah.
holiday. Well, it is February 24th, so I guess, I don't know, maybe the Super Bowl was also a holiday. But
Yeah,
we
I still have a
extended
Christmas
it.
tree in my front room. So.
Do you
I
Really?
do too. Yeah,
Really?
welcome.
You got
everyone.
lights up on your house still
Well,
and
okay,
everything?
so this is a funny thing about Christmas lights. So we
That
have
stuff
this.
sticks around till like July
Yeah,
there?
yeah. So we have this
Bubba?
company, Squeegee Magic. Shout out Squeegee Magic. They install our Christmas lights for us every year.
Right.
They do a great job. Well, this year they had a deal that it was an early bird special, and it was in August. They saved like 25%. So I said, "Go ahead, let's do it." I didn't realize they were going to put my lights up in August.
In August.
Oh,
So I literally
nice.
came home from work one night, and I've got my house is lit up, literally like a Christmas tree.
So you're that hayseed that
Yeah.
just leaves them up all summer.
Yeah. Yeah, and they just took, so we had lights up for like 6 months because they just took
that's
them
so
down.
Perfect.
funny.
I don't see a problem with that.
That's so funny. Wow. So we should tell everybody, we are realtors. Joel's a mortgage guy.
Yeah.
We are going to touch on, in the past, it's just been kind of heavy real estate. And we've decided that that's not the most exciting thing to talk about for, a whole
Right.
show. So
Bit of a snooze.
call us if you need anything, okay? You can get a hold of us through our Facebook page. You look us all up on Facebook, on all social media. Again, Justin and I are both with Remax Results. Joel's at Cardinal Financial. So if you want to go deep into anything related, mortgages, real estate, if you have any of those questions, we're always available, okay? But we decided to kind of switch up the format of the show a little bit. We'll still touch on real estate, and we'll still touch on mortgages, but we're just going to touch on more community stuff.
Some fun stuff?
Some fun
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Not as boring as the market update.
Right. Well, we live in the Twin Cities, and and we're, in spite of the 17 feet of snow that's piling up in my backyard
Yeah.
and everything else, we're here because it's a nice place to live.
Yeah. It is.
And so let's highlight a lot of that stuff. And I think so in the coming shows, we're going to try to do quite a bit more of that. But right now,
Guests.
we'll
We'll have various
bring in some
guests coming on.
and so
Different venues too. It'll be fun to kind of get out and
yeah,
travel to different
go on
places
the road and
do
check
live shows again.
100%, 100%.
Spring brewery tour.
Brewery tour. Yeah.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
So
What was the brewery you just mentioned you were at?
Lake Monster. It was really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
it's over by my neck of the woods.
Yeah,
yeah,
kinda.
it is. Yeah, it's a good one. They have the, they have the pizza oven van outside. Have you seen this bus?
No.
It's a bus.
Oh, van. I thought you said
It's
fan.
like a
I
bus.
thought-
No,
yeah.
it's
You see these
it's like
pieces of
okay,
pizza
no, it's a
spinning
bus,
around.
and it looks like a yellow school bus. It's the short bus,
The one I
and
used to.
on the one and on the back end of it is a big brick pizza oven hanging off the back of it.
Oh, wow.
It's ridiculous looking, and the pizza's delicious.
Oh, it actually
And,
works.
oh and you go in the front, you go in the door like you're going to school, and you order, and go in and get a beer, and about 7 minutes later, a pizza shows up.
And this is at a brewery?
It travels, but
Yeah.
I saw it at Lake Monster.
Yeah,
and it was kind of cool.
That's
I liked
awesome.
it. Yeah. So, anyway, that's going to be kind of the new format of the show. The one thing, that we will touch on once in a while again is a quick market update, and then and we might have to. Here's what I did. A few days ago, I went on Facebook and I sent an email out to people, and I asked them, just, can you send me in any questions you might have, real
Sure.
estate related, and I actually got a few, and so feel free to do that, you guys, too. Comment, put in the comments on Twin Cities on the Move, our Facebook page. Get a hold of any of us, whenever. If you do have questions, we'd love to read it on the air. More than likely, we'll have something for you, to give. I'm gonna give you, I have,
it'll be expert advice.
I have these Yeti mugs here that are pretty fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so, for these
It's about
nice,
$400 now.
yeah, right. So anyway, these guys are gonna get a Yeti mug.
That's cool.
But
Sweet.
Yeah. So you want to hear them?
Yeah, let's hear
we
it.
do
And
it?
then we
Let's-
can do
let's
a
hear these
market update
questions.
later
Okay.
and talk about fun stuff after that.
Fantastic. Okay, so here, number one, this is from Jackie in Roseville. And Jackie replied to this email that I sent out, and her question was, is it best to sell my home before buying a new one? So, which is kind of a Joel question, really, isn't
Yeah,
it?
kind of.
I mean, and everybody's financial picture's a little different. So, but what would that look like?
Well, so my first response to that would be it depends, honestly. It depends on your specific situation. I think, and you guys could speak to this, but in an ideal scenario, your offer for a new home is going to have more strength if it's non-contingent. If you don't have to sell your house. So in a perfect scenario, whether you list, like, a lot of times people will, because in order to carry that mortgage or not sell it, for example, and go non-contingent, you'll have to be able to afford to carry the mortgage on your current home and then also
And
the
the
new
new
home.
one, yeah.
So
And here's the thing. She kind of wrote this, I think, a little backwards to me. I'm sorry, Jackie. I don't mean to say, thank you for the question, but if you sell your house before you buy a new one, you're homeless.
Where are you going to live?
Where are you
right?
going to live? You got to live somewhere. So I think
Is she talking about maybe getting an offer on her place before she puts an offer in?
That's a
maybe?
possibility, and I think kind of the scenario that you were saying, Joel, is do you have the means to go forward, purchase a home, and then quickly go market and sell your house?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think I can give you an example. I've got a client just this week that's, they're going to be relocating from California. They're going to list their house this week.
Okay.
But we did their approval non-contingent so that they don't have, they don't have to sell their house first.
Oh, nice.
And I think for a lot of people, it if you've got a little bit of overlap, it can be a lot less stressful.
Oh, it
you
is, yeah.
Close on the new house, give yourself a week or two to kind of move out of the old house, and like I said, they're going to list their house, so the reality is it's probably going to sell, and they,
Yeah.
But again, they have the flexibility to schedule their closing whenever they like.
Exactly. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think, that's the number one easiest scenario if you have the financial means to.
Yeah.
Now, there's other things that you can get into. I mean, if you want to give Joel a call, because there's things like bridge loans.
Yeah.
There's
Down payment
just
assistance.
down payment
stuff like
assistance. There's all kinds of stuff that that we could come up with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, so good. Thanks, Jackie. Number two here is this guy Ken in South Minneapolis. He responded. I put this up on Facebook too, and I don't know if Ken's trying to figure out how much we charge for commission or what the deal is exactly. But he said, how much of the sale price do I get if I sell my home?
Oh, that's a great question.
It is, yeah. It is, and the simple answer is that it depends. It depends on a lot of factors, really. I think that for starters, I'll just use me. Justin and I are both very, very full service agents. We're not a discount broker, but you kind of get what you pay for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we like to bring, both barrels to every listing, and and really all the horsepower that we can. So that's the commission, but then also on top of the commission is usually about 1%
Yep.
of the sale price in closing costs for a seller.
So
You
let's
know.
give them an example. Let's say you're buying a $200,000 house, and the agent's going to charge you 6%. Well, that's 12 grand, and then you'd add another 1% on top of
And,
that.
and we should say that 6%. Now the agent can decide how much they pay another agent to bring a buyer to that house.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the standard,
It's
Paul?
a cooperating broker, and it depends on the market.
Yeah.
It depends on like if you go south, like Red Wing neck of the woods, Hastings, even, and even further south in Minnesota, it's a lot less than it is here.
Yeah.
Same with northern Minnesota, like Duluth, for example. I sold a listing, or I had a buyer in Duluth here a year ago, and in the commission that that agent paid me to bring them a buyer was, a couple tenths of a point less.
So I've always had in my head that the seller's agent typically charges 3%. Buyer's agent usually takes like 2.7. Are those numbers?
That's
about
about
right.
yeah. That's pretty. 2.7 is kind of getting to be the high end.
Is it?
Yeah, it is really. There's a lot of 2.5. I've seen as low as 2.2.
So when you have a client and there's a house they're interested in, or let's say there's a few houses, you want to take them out on a weekend and they're going to look at 3 or 4 houses. So theoretically, the commission that you make will vary depending on which of the houses
Yeah.
you choose.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
It
yes.
can.
and it's
Not always, but it can.
Well,
Yeah.
and here's the remedy for that, and this is getting away from Ken's question. We'll get back to that, but the buyer can also, like if you go out with me, I charge 2.7%.
Yep.
Okay, period. So if we look at a house, for example, and it's 2.5%. I'm gonna do is just we represent our clients. That's the name of the game, and that's the code of ethics that we have. We represent our clients no matter what the commission is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But but what I would do if it's 2.5, well then we have a conversation, my clients and I, up front, that if that happens, I'll do everything I can to get the full commission of 2.7 from that agent, but if there's a shortfall, then they agree that they'll cover that. Okay.
Yeah, and
that's
to
just that.
be clear, a lot of people think that the agents get that money directly, that they get that 2.7, but that goes to Remax results, and then that gets split.
It gets shared with the
with
broker,
Paul or
yeah,
with me,
yeah,
depending on who
yeah.
the agent
They
is.
got to keep the lights on at the offices, and they
Yeah.
there's overhead costs.
So don't think that when you see that big check at closing, which sometimes is a small check too, but usually it's decent. Not all of that, unfortunately, goes to us. I keep trying to figure out a way to get it all from
Right.
Right.
So,
Just kidding.
but yeah. So, but anyway, back to Ken. I would suggest use it's easy figure is 7%, and then also just so every offer is structured a little different. So what Justin and I do, we put together what's called a net sheet. So, which is a breakdown of all the costs, the closing costs, because there's title work, there's deed tax, there's all of these things, and they all have a number on them. And it's usually a percentage of the purchase price.
Sure.
and it's very transparent. It's
Yeah.
a lot of companies don't do that,
Right.
We
We try
they
to
should because
try to
want to
do
be as
that.
transparent
And
as
then,
possible.
it might be in the purchase agreement too, where they're asking the buyer's asking the seller to contribute to the buyer's closing costs.
Right.
That's real money. So we have to figure that out. So
Yeah.
the deal is, Ken, every offer that comes down the line, I like to give you the purchase agreement to look over, and then also I want to give you a net sheet too, so that you can see a bottom line.
Yeah, and as a caveat to that, both Paul and I, as full service agents, we don't want to disincentivize a buyer's agent from showing the property, so we always pay out a minimum of 2.7%.
Minimum. Sometimes
Because we
3.
feel sometimes it's higher, but we
Yeah.
don't want to disincentivize an agent not to show the property because we couldn't
doesn't- it's not
negotiate a
good.
good commission, and
Well, it's not good. Yeah, it's just not. It doesn't do our clients as sellers any favors.
Right.
if
Well,
we
and
do
you
that.
have to think that although you guys obviously from an ethical standpoint are going to show your clients the homes that they want to see, the reality is probably not all agents have that same standard. So
Un-
maybe they avoid a
Oh,
house.
hopefully.
Maybe though,
Let's hope.
Yeah, we say hopefully.
Yeah. So, but anyway, thanks, Ken. Thanks for your question. And here,
Yeah.
last one, fellas, and we can move on.
No, this is good. This is cool.
What Gary in Burnsville, and we could do a month of shows on this. What's the strangest thing that you've seen showing houses?
Oh, wow.
I know, and it could go on and on. And I mean, or who's the strangest person? And here's I'm not going to give any. I worry that I might step on somebody's toes, so I'm going to leave this alone. But I'm going to tell you about one that another agent that I know mentioned. Okay, and she was showing a foreclosed house in St. Paul. This is years and years ago, and I think our producer knows this story too. And she was showing it to a client, and it was supposedly a vacant house, and they opened the door and in they went. And I'm trying to remember all the details. This is kind of paraphrasing, but they heard some commotion in the basement. And here she is, and she's a girl that can take care of herself. She's strong and everything, pretty, so she wasn't too nervous about it.
She's carrying.
Yeah, right. But anyway, these from what I'm trying to remember how it goes. I think they left and they called the police, and they waited, and the police came, and she let the police in the house with the key, and they brought out two ladies. And
Is this a Scooby-Doo story?
no, it's not. No, this is really, they brought out these two.
No, Paul's telling it. It's
two-
probably true.
Yeah, these two ladies. And I'm just, again, I know I'm not getting all the details right, but they came out with the police came out with these two ladies, and they knew who they were, and they were prostitutes.
Oh, wow.
And they were hanging out there, and I forget one of them. One of them had a fun name, and the other one, I think her name was like Diamond Bags.
So were they using this place as their office?
They
or just
might
a
have
place
been.
to sleep?
They might have been, and I don't know. And I wish she was here because she'll tell you every detail, and it's so funny.
wow.
It's so funny. So yeah,
wonder
Diamond Bags. And
Would you get a home office write-off for that, or I don't know how the tax.
Yeah, I think you would.
I
taxes
don't
would
think
work
they
on
worried
that.
about that. I don't think that. So that'd be kind of strange.
I've had a lot of crazy ones. I need a little more time to think about
Yeah,
some
there's
of
a
them.
million
There's
of them.
so many
There's
of them.
So many. The random person in the sleeping is always interesting.
Yeah, you open up a bedroom and there's someone just
in there,
laying there
just
and they
in
roll
there. You're
over.
like,
and
"Oh,
like-
here we go."
I'm like, good morning, sweet prince.
Yeah, that's always fantastic.
Forgot about
But
that
no,
showing.
I was walking through a duplex with a client. God, it's been about 10 years ago. She's moved back to France since then. But we're walking through this duplex, and it's going really well. Great showing. And all of a sudden, we thought we heard something in the bathroom. And I turned to her, and she kind of looked at me, and she's like, is somebody here? And all of a sudden, the bathroom door opens up. This guy is dressed in his robe. Luckily, it's closed. He's got a shaver in his hand, and he's got shaving cream all over his face. We'd been in there for 15 minutes.
Really?
And I look, and there was a language barrier there, so we just kind
wow.
of stumbled around. We're like, all right, we'll stop back
It's
later.
always 80% of the time it's a bathroom thing.
Yeah.
Usually. Yeah. And then there's the funny things you see. I didn't see this, but I saw it. Another realtor posted on Facebook. It was a toilet, and instead of the tank on the back of the toilet was a 5-gallon bucket.
Oh, no.
But like all the guts, like to run the toilet, and there was a little handle on it, so it was like they just put a bucket.
Like a
on it.
homemade
That's
toilet.
Just
genius.
a homemade toilet.
Wow.
And it's Facebook, who knows?
Yeah.
But it was fantastic. It
We
was
had
so
one when we were out in a house. I think it was out near Centerville or somewhere. I was showing Mark and Molly. If you're listening, you'll know about the donkey house. We went downstairs into the basement, and they had a pen set up in the basement with straw and everything underneath the stairs. And there was no animal there at the time when we went, but it smelt like a barn.
Oh, no.
So we think they may have had a donkey or like a miniature horse there.
Mini horse? Yeah.
But ever since then, we've referred to it as the Donkey
Oh,
House.
that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So,
Wow.
yeah, like I said, we could go on for.
We'll do a whole
there's-
show on that
Right on
sometime.
just this weird crap you see walking through houses for sure. So, anyway, so that's that. Gary, thank you. Ken and Jackie in Roseville. I'll get a hold of you after the show, get you guys some Yeti mugs. Thanks for participating. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good. It's good. So, anyway, what else you got, you guys? There's a lot going on in the Twin Cities, it seems like,
Yeah.
right now. I know
Spring might be here. at
Spring
some
might
point,
be
right?
here.
I
know
keep
it.
threatening Joel that I'm going to try to get into mountain biking.
He's the guy to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
I know.
That's true.
He's the guy to talk to.
So does that
for
mean
sure.
you've literally never been mountain biking before?
Not like on a mountain biking trail. I take my
Okay.
mountain bike out, but that's
Sure.
I don't think that's the same as
That doesn't count.
Joel
I don't-
going out to Arizona and riding through cliffs and
He
mountains.
goes all
and-
over. Again,
Yeah.
the hillbilly in him. Where do you go?
Well, my favorite place, the place I go.
Hillbilly.
I
Well,
go-
he's got his freaking
Okay.
lights on his house in August. Give us
It's on a trailer too.
Double
No,
wide.
Arkansas, Bentonville, Arkansas is
Okay.
a spot that I go to usually, at least a few times a year, and it's the headquarters, the Walmart headquarters down there.
Oh, yeah.
And the Walton and I'm sure you almost hate to bring up Walmart because they're love or hate the whole
Yeah.
brand, right?
Whatever.
But they've poured in something like $250 million, the Walton Foundation, into the mountain biking infrastructure down there. in
Really?
Bentonville.
Oh, that's
Bentonville
cool.
is northwest Arkansas. It's like 25 miles south of the Missouri border. It's about a 10-hour drive with stops, for gas and food.
Okay.
And I've got a couple of buddies that I ride with quite a bit, and we've gone down. I mean, I've been down there probably 6 or 8 times.
Really?
Yeah.
So
the
it's fun.
Oh, it's a blast. I mean, it's known as, well, they call it the mountain bike capital of the world. And there's other cities like Sedona, Arizona that tries to claim it, and then there's spots. I mean, all over
Yeah.
the place.
Duluth and
Duluth-
the big boys.
Duluth is another nice spot to ride.
Really?
We're actually really lucky because Bentonville's awesome.
Yeah.
They've got hundreds of miles. I mean, literally, the first time you go there, you can't believe it. But there's a little town. It's like this small little downtown. They've got the very first Walmart right in the square. It's the Waltons 5 and Dime type. It's
Oh,
this
cool.
little
That's kind
store.
of cool.
Yeah.
And you can just see Walmart all over the city, but there's little Walmart pop-ups and just little grocery stores,
Okay.
and then there's big stores. There's a Walmart gym, the whole place. But in the square, there's just like this water fountain thing, and it's a gathering area, and then a bunch of bars and restaurants, and then you go literally 2 blocks back, you pass the city hall, and there's a trailhead, like right in the middle of the
That's
city.
the beginning.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
slick.
So like your first, probably the first, the main trail system out of the downtown area is called Slaughter Pen, and that starts right in the middle of downtown.
Slaughter pen?
that
Slaughter
sounds
Pen.
a little scary.
That might be above my pay grade.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. And that's the other thing about this is another thing for anyone thinking about getting into mountain biking. It's there's different levels of difficulty, and just
Yeah.
and the best trail systems cater to multiple ability levels.
Oh,
Just ask that.
Like skiing almost.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's if I went out with you, and I've never done this in my life.
Right,
And so, I mean, would you be bored because you'd
No.
have to stick on the novice trails?
No, in fact, we've gone down a couple times with our kids, like me and my buddies and our
Okay.
12, 13-year-old boys, and usually there's green trails, there's blue trails, there's black diamond, double black,
It's skiing.
and then there's the red lines are like pro lines. But most, like for Bentonville, for example, and many of the trails here too, every sort of feature you'd call, whether it's a rock roll or a drop or a jump or whatever it is, in the trail system has right around. So you
Oh,
can
so
make
if you
the
don't wanna
choice.
dump the ravine,
You don't have to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and a
Got
lot of
it.
times
That's cool.
A lot of times they'll have like progressive features too. So like there'll be like a 6-inch drop here, then a 2-foot drop, and then a 5-foot drop. And
A 5-foot drop?
yeah. Oh, so listen, there's people that ride stuff. I'm constantly amazed at the things people do on trails. What I really love about mountain biking is kind of being out. I like you're on these groomed trails in the middle of the woods, and it's I'm not a nature guy per se, but it's fun to be. You know what I mean?
Better than riding down the
Yeah,
street on
yeah.
asphalt.
I love
It's-
riding over rocks and roots and just all the kind of the gnarly stuff out there. But I'm constantly amazed at what, like, my thing is I try to keep my wheels as close to the ground as possible. If more than a foot off the ground, literally, it's just not worth. I'm too old. You know, I'm gonna get hurt.
You're gonna break a
It's
collarbone.
not, and people get hurt all the time. Mountain
Yeah.
biking. But there's a lot of people that are doing, stuff.
So a couple questions for you. Bike and then also trails. Maybe trails around here that you'd recommend?
Sure. So bikes, I mean, the first thing I say is if you have a bike, it'll work. Just get out there and give it a shot. What's going to happen is you're going to fall in love with the sport and you're going to buy, a $10,000 bike 2 years later. But
Really?
it doesn't have to happen.
Yeah. For just an entry-level bike, would you have
you
a
can
recommendation on brand and
Sure.
price just to set people's expectations?
Well, here's the first thing is all the bike shops will do demos. So the first thing and most important thing is to go out, try a few different brands out. In fact, like Trailhead in Champlin, they've got a little trail cut in the woods behind the place, or they'll let you take it over to Elm Creek. You can
ride it around
Yeah,
for a
they've
little
got
while?
demo bikes.
That's cool.
Or if you find a brand like nobody has a demo of, you can always rent them different places.
Okay.
Entry level mountain bikes. You've got two basic or main types of bikes. You've got what's referred to as a full suspension mountain bike. That's where you have suspension in the front, the fork, but then there's
And in
also
the
a
back.
rear suspension where your front and your rear triangles have a pivot point where it can absorb. So basically, the front and the back of the bike can absorb, impact.
Okay.
And there's different levels.
For preference, do you like having both front and rear suspensions
I
or just
prefer
front?
the full suspension. It's like
Okay.
it's like riding on a cloud.
Oh, sweet.
A hardtail, which is what you would call a bike that has only front suspension.
That's what I have.
Those are great. I had one. I just sold it. I'll probably buy another one. It's just depending on your style of riding
It's just
and what
a
you
different
do.
feel?
Just a little feel. A lot of people prefer them because the energy transfer sometimes can be easier, so you're able to go a little faster.
Well, you're into this.
Well,
And what kind
you?
of brands would you recommend for someone starting?
entry level,
like
I would
entry,
say
mid, and then high end.
the really great entry level bikes are, Trek is great because they've got Specialized. Those are kind of the two biggest brands.
Does Trek make Specialized, or is that a different brand
They're
altogether?
different.
They're two different
Trek
brands.
and
Okay.
Specialized are different
All right.
brands. Like my stepson rides it's called a Specialized Fuse. It's it's what we'd call a plus size plus tire bike. So he's got 2.8-inch tires.
Wow.
But it's a hardtail. The bigger tires give you a little bit more. You absorb a little bit more impacts and things like that. It smooths things out.
Okay.
It kind of adds a little bit of suspension in a way.
a little harder to pedal though. Takes a little more
A
force.
little,
or no,
I mean,
not that much.
not a ton. You
Okay.
don't, and that's another thing. Like I've got buddies that when I ride, they're just all they care about is how fast they can go. I honestly don't care at all how fast I'm going. I sometimes do go fast, but not terribly fast.
It's not a race.
You get
really.
hurt.
It's
That's how you
more-
get hurt.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple crashes every year. I've never had a significant injury. I've got friends that have been hospitalized because they just
Really?
they ride
Because
too
they go
fast.
fast.
Yeah, a good friend of mine. Shout out to Troy here. He's notorious for riding way faster than he should, and he's an excellent rider. But stuff happens. Last
Just
year,
yeah.
he was out early in the morning, and like a lot of times you'll have rocks and roots on a trail, and when they're wet or cold, they're a little bit slicker than they would be otherwise. And his back tire slid out. He went face first into a log.
Ouch.
Like his teeth came through his lip, and
Oh.
he was totally messed up. Right?
Yeah.
He had to take himself to the ER, and it was
Yeah.
it was a mess.
No,
but,
yeah,
but
man.
so he wears a full face helmet now, which I think is probably a good idea, but I don't because I don't know. It's just warm. I mean, I always wear a helmet.
Yeah.
but not a full face. So I think a good entry level mountain bike is Trek, Specialized, Giant. If you go to like REI, they've got their own brand. I think it's called like Co-op something or other.
Okay.
Those are good, and you could probably get into mountain biking with a really decent entry level bike for I'd say like $700 to $1,200.
Okay.
Yeah.
So figure about $1,000 maybe somewhere in there.
And then when you get serious about it, you want full suspension's a little more expensive. I mean, you can probably find a good full suspension mountain bike for anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 is probably the range. I mean, there's a lot of times it'll be the componentry on the bike is what's going to really drive up the price. And most of those, like for example, and if you don't know bikes, this is going to make a ton of sense, but Shimano, I'm not a Shimano guy.
Listen to you guys go.
I'm a SRAM
That's
guy.
what's on my high-end mountain bike.
So I'm a SRAM guy. None of my components are Shimano. But those are kind of the two big componentry brands. But like SRAM will have, they have an SX drivetrain, and your drivetrain is going to be your derailleurs, the whole drivetrain,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But they'll have different levels.
Sprockets and everything?
Yeah,
Okay.
your cranks and all that. And they'll have the SX, the NX, the GX. There's like 5 different levels. And the difference between those levels is really weight. There's
Really?
weight weenies, they want to go faster.
So they want light as
and
possible.
you're shaving, we're talking like ounces, not pounds,
Right.
between these different things. So that's where you really get into a lot of money is when you go with the higher end componentry on these bikes. Some of the bikes now are, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000.
Wow.
But unless you're like a racer or you've got
You don't
time.
need that.
No, you really don't.
Cool.
Can you do you run around the neighborhood on your bike?
Yeah.
Do you? Okay, it's just
Yeah.
the same bike. Doesn't
Yep.
matter.
Yep.
So you don't have like it's just I
No,
only
like
take this off road. Period.
Nope.
Okay.
There are probably people who are like that. I'm not.
Uh-huh.
But like, I mentioned I've got both front and rear suspension, which both have lockouts, so I can lock my suspension. So like if I'm riding down the road with the kids, I don't, you get a little bobble.
You don't want to go like
I don't
that.
need that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'll lock
Yeah.
up the shock.
Oh,
and
cool.
Won't have to contend with that. But I ride my bikes everywhere. Yeah.
Will they let me take my Harley on the bike trails, or is that not counted as a real bike?
They do not count. In fact, I don't know what the definitions are for the class levels of e-bikes. E-bikes are becoming really
Oh, I was
popular.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and most trails will allow, I think it's a class 1 e-bike, the ones that are basically pedal assist, where it doesn't have a throttle, you're pedaling, and it's helping you to generate additional power with that
As
motor.
you pedal.
Yeah, and then I think when you go up in the class levels where it's
That seems like it
self-propelled.
could be getting kind of dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, because you can go so fast.
Well, yeah, and I don't know. You just panic.
And they'll tear up the
you know.
trails too, so they don't.
You land and you accidentally hit
Yeah,
the throttle,
yeah.
and you're doing the involuntary
Yes,
Superman.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So anybody who is interested, and I'll encourage you to do the same, Justin. We have so many great trails. There's an organization called MORC, which is Minnesota Off-Road Cycling. They maintain all the trails. There's probably 13 or 14 main trail systems around the metro area. The one I go to the most is Elm Creek, just because it's close to my house.
Yeah.
They've got what's called a stacked trail system. So there's a green trail, there's a blue trail, and as you get into the more difficult trails, there's an option to sort of like opt out. Elm Creek is anybody can ride that whole thing.
Cool.
Like they've got a black trail there called Grizzland. It's a blue trail probably anywhere else in the world.
Really?
But they think they feel like they have to have a black. And it does have some black features on it that you just ride around if you're not capable. Some of the the biggest or most popular trails, Lebanon Hills, which is in Egan, that's probably the most popular trail locally. I don't go there very often because I live in Andover.
Yeah.
It's an hour drive.
Anything out in Woodbury?
Woodbury, there's Carver Lake out there. They've got some nice trails. Battle Creek,
Yeah.
if you're familiar with the Battle Creek
Yeah,
area.
Battle Creek's awesome.
But from a 30-minute radius from where you live, there's
Plenty.
a ton of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. We should get somebody on. Sorry, probably a show prep meeting, but you should look into getting somebody from that organization maybe as spring comes. Be fun to talk to them and hear about this just from a guy that rides up and down the alley on his 10
live
speed.
from their shop. It would be really
That'd
cool.
be cool too. Yeah.
I think our producer had mentioned he knows some people.
He's
too.
got a guy.
He's got a guy.
He's got a guy.
He's got a Now Sports
Yes,
guy.
He's
Now
got. That's
Sports.
right. He's
Yeah.
got a guy. He does. Well, that's cool, man. So, well, good. Lots of fun stuff to do in the city, man. It's
Yeah.
amazing, how close we live. That's and it's in the city, but it's just. I bet you go to those trails, you feel like you're.
You feel like you're
you
out in the
could
middle
be
of nowhere.
100 miles away. Yeah. It's kind of fun.
It's interesting because you do feel like you're out in the middle of the woods, and you're typically less than a mile away from the trailhead.
Isn't that fantastic?
You know?
Yeah, cool. Fun, man. Well, let's, we'll see. Maybe we can get the guy.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So, other stuff coming up, you guys. I wrote down. The Home and Garden Show is coming here March 1st,
Sweet.
Through the 5th. It's Wednesday to Sunday, Minneapolis Convention Center, and the list of vendors is endless, you guys. I went on the website here before we started I thought, I'll just print this up so I'd name a few. Forget
Can't.
it. No,
Too many.
it's way too many.
Did your
And
printer catch on fire again?
it's anything. Yeah. It's just it's amazing. It's anything under the sun, from home improvement guys to plumbers to designers to architects.
Do you typically go to the show?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's something fun to do. Yeah, it's. I go with my wife, and honey, I'm sure you're watching and listening, but boy, you got to be. It's easy to spend money there.
Yeah.
It's really easy because there's so many cool things.
Yeah.
That you see, and the displays are fantastic. And even if you just go for fun ideas, we had a patio to put in here last year. We had this patio for 20 plus years at our house, and it was getting towards the end of its life and needed a facelift. So went to just to get some ideas, and took pictures of here's a brick pattern, here's a brick pattern. That's
That's
I don't
cool.
know. When you get
That's
old
what a lot of
like me,
people
man,
do.
this is fun, on a Saturday afternoon. So anyway, you go check that out. It's fun. It's pretty cheap. You can go online if you buy your tickets online. I think you save a couple bucks. There was another thing that I saw some hardware store had like $4 off, but it's cheap anyway. It's like 12, 14, 15 bucks to get in.
Yeah, that's not
so
bad.
it's fun. Go wander around, have something to drink, and hang
How
out.
about
So
Parade of Homes? Got that coming up too, right? You guys get involved in that at all?
to be honest, I haven't in the last 10 years or so. I did a little bit before that, just briefly, where I had the
Yeah, I
opportunity to sit in a couple open houses. But it's cool.
Yeah.
It's wonderful for just people that have ideas, and
Yeah.
as that comes up, we'll talk more about it. It's a little bit. There's a spring one and a fall one.
Yeah.
Always. And so we'll definitely we can talk more about it in the coming month or two. So but again, My Insurance Warehouse, you guys, we should say thanks to them here
For sure.
as we get rolling. So if you need anything insurance wise, myinsurancwarehouse.com. And Justin, Joel, and Paul, Twin Cities on the Move. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I think we gave them more than they paid for today. I think so. So
That was a really good value.
not bad. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.